Shout out to Coach Live.
Coach LA, it's time to listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. on the Urban Just calling. Conversations with Coach La 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 La. Coach La 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 La. If you got something on your mind, you can call in, you can hit a line. She the realest, ooh, she the realest. You can tap in, loud, or get a business to empower you so that you can do every and anything that you want to. Kicking in with Coach LA, it's time to listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. on the Urban Just calling. Conversations with Coach La 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 La. Coach La 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 La.
Hey, how y'all doing? How y'all feeling? It's another episode of Conversations with Coach La La La. Your favorite around the way therapist is in the building. You guys are tuned in to the Urban Heat, Boston's only Black-owned radio station on the iHeartRadio platform. And as I said before, and some of y'all know, some of y'all don't know, I'm your self-proclaimed favorite around the way therapist. You know, my clients have said that. It has been a rainy day in Boston. I am feeling quite sad. All of you people out there that have seasonal depression, yes, it is very real. As the summertime starts to wrap up and wind down, it was very rainy and it's a little chilly out here in Boston today. But shout out to Franchise Entertainment. We had a Teddy Riley experience. We had Brownstone, we had Black, and we had our very own Ronnie DeVoe from New Edition come back to do a beautiful tribute to our very own D Nice. Happy birthday, D Nice. You did not see your favorite around the way therapist at the festivities because I did a 5K. So shout out to Dimick Center. We did the 5K walk run. They've been doing that for 11 years. So I actually participated in that with a few of my friends, family, community members, leaders. Ayanna Presley was out there. It was really, really a good time. So that's why I didn't go to D Nice's party, but shout out to Grace Bonilla too. I heard it was a great time. AJ was, and Free, our very own Free from Boston, was hosting the event. So Boston has been popping, y'all. Some people have called this the blackest summer that Boston has seen, and there's been a lot of critique about that. But I'm born and raised here, 49 years. Can't believe that. Yes, 49 years. Coach will be 50 next year. I would have to say that this has been one of the most vibrant and cultured summers that I have experienced. I've enjoyed myself. There's just been so much to do, so many different options. So I really have enjoyed that. I know some people have felt overwhelmed and want us to do like a community calendar so that we can coordinate dates so everything's not happening on the same day. I mean, it sounds good in some respects, but ideally, choice is good, y'all. You know, plan your schedule accordingly and get outside and have a good time. So it is also Suicide Awareness Month. It's also Self-Care Awareness Month. So this is all the things and all the reasons to get out. Statistics show that being connected to community and having family and support are some of the best strategies to prevent people from unaliving themselves. So we want people to feel like they're connected and feel like they matter. So I've been doing lots and lots of self-care and wellness this month. So you guys know we are at episode 134. Wow. And it's season 8. In this season, we have been talking about the power of the pivot. And the whole idea has been about rising and reclaiming and reinventing yourself. And this whole theory about the legacy series you don't need to create your legacy once you are gone, but you're creating your legacy while you are above ground. And so I've been really finding and being inspired by the different guests and attracted to guests who have a story or who are helping people to do just that, right? And this part of the series is all about rising. and rising above the adversity, and just really being able to see that just because things aren't going your way in the moment, that doesn't mean it will stay that way. And sometimes your biggest opportunities come disguised as bad news. Speaking of that, I went to go see Chris Brown as well. Yeah, I've been a busy bee, right? Went to go see Chris Brown. That's the first time I seen Chris Brown in concert. And I must say, I was impressed with Breezy Bowl. I had a good time, y'all. Coach did not sit down. I sang every song. I was dancing. I got my little, my Depends challenge. I'm still trying to get the little part where he goes side to side, and I don't got it all, but I've been practicing. So I think Chris Brown's story also very much is the one about the power of the pivot and overcoming adversity. A lot of people are saying now he's now a mainstream artist, and I think it was Jason Lee said right now Chris Brown is actually trying to prove something to himself. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. So that's what we're talking about tonight. Tonight, we are talking about being able to reclaim and rise above adversity, and the power and the courage to start over. And sometimes, that starting over can be really, really scary. So tonight's guest, we met online. Y'all, I told y'all I love online. I don't know what about everybody else's experience online, but I've been meeting some really fabulous, dope people online. So I met her online, and she has a statement that I like, and it's a wordplay, but she is the connector, right? So she's connecting her, but connect her. I think that's really, really cool. So Dr. Lanisha is a powerful sister with a story to tell. She is in Alabama. So she is actually logging in live from Alabama. She's a licensed mental health therapist, such as I. She also, on top of being that, she is what you would call a connection coach. And I think that's a really dope name. She's a speaker, she's a podcast host, and she is the #1 connection coach for self-doubting millennial women who are ready to connect with their identity and rewrite their story. And I think that that's really cool, especially when it's about rewriting your story, a story that has kept you playing small, to be exact, to become her out loud. She blends mental health expertise with transformational coaching. She helps women move from silence to self-expression so they can stop shrinking and start showing up boldly in their truth. She has over a decade of experience in leadership and healing spaces. Dr. Lanisha, she helps women transform self-doubt into self-trust. I love that. To craft powerful stories and to share them on podcasts, stages, and in everyday life. From the therapy room to the podcast mic, Dr. Lanisha is known for her wild creativity, which I want to see some of this girl. But I have seen her TikTok and her Instagram. She has personality, baby. She has mirror-like truth-telling and a humor that slaps, let's say gently slaps doubt right across the face. Her work is rooted in helping women build confidence, break generational cycles, right? And speak with impact on platforms that they once thought weren't built for them. Whether she's coaching clients, curating self-connection, or disrupting doubt, Dr. Lanisha wants every woman to know one thing, and that is your voice is not too much, baby. So she wants you to become her out loud. So I want to welcome Dr. Lanisha to the virtual couch.
Hello.
How you doing? How you doing?
I am well. Listen,
How you
I'm
doing?
loving that introduction. I almost asked, who she talking about?
Hey. Listen, girl, you look good. As that song goes, you look good. You look good. I love your background. You're wearing purple lipstick, one of my favorite colors. I always say people talk badly about social media, but I think your social media is a reflection of what you go look at. Like, since I've been watching Chris Brown, my whole timeline ain't nothing but Chris Brown, baby. All I'm seeing is Chris Brown. I said, see, it really does pay attention to what you are into. So if it's negative and it's giving you bad vibes, change what you're looking at, and I bet you the whole timeline will change. So I always like to ask people when they come on the show, I know I read your bio. Girl, you bad, you bad, you bad, you bad. But what do you want the listeners to know, especially since you're also streaming to your audience? What is something you want them to know that is not in your bio, something they would be surprised to know about you? Who is Dr. Lanisha?
Oh, wow. Something they would be surprised to know about me is I am like a huge DIYer. Okay. I
Okay.
love to be creative. I love to DIY. And it's interesting because at one point I was like, I'm not creative at all. I don't have any design experience. I don't know how to do any of those things, but I actually have grown to love those things. Now, who is Dr. Lanisha? I am someone who is kind, empathic. I am a Taurus, for those of you who know about astrology or are into astrology. Now, I'm not deep into it, but I do know that I'm a Taurus, and I am kind and I am with you until I'm not with you anymore.
Oh,
So take that as you will, as you may.
let me find out your cutoff game is serious, girl.
Listen, it is. It
Listen,
is.
so
It is.
so
But you got to get me to that point, though.
okay. It takes a little bit. Takes a little bit.
Oh, it takes a lot because I am so kind. I'm always trying to see the good in individuals. I am loyal, super loyal to those that I love. But if you take me there, it like I always say, there's this switch that flips. If I flip that switch, good luck. Good luck.
Listen, I say this all the time, right? Like as a therapist to another therapist, it's a obligation and a lot of responsibility to make sure we don't crash out, right? People don't expect for us to crash out. We're supposed to always sort of have it together and aka be the bigger person. But one of my other colleagues, she said something. She said, what does it mean to really be the bigger person if that means dumbing down your voice or taking your voice away? Sometimes you got to speak up, and speaking up may shake the rock the boat, ruffle feathers, and we can't always, bite our tongue about everything. Sometimes conflict is needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
You and I both know, even in the therapy space, there's some confrontation that we have with our clients, therapeutically. But
oh,
uh
do I ever know? Yes.
I will
Mhm.
say I'm not always the bigger person.
Well, I will say recently, because I've had a lot of clients um, graduate and just be in a better place, and the frequency of when they need therapy has decreased, or they just they've reached their goals. So I'm taking on new clients, and whenever I start taking on new clients, that's new energy. To a certain extent, I'm being interviewed in regards to being a good fit, and I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm not everybody's ideal therapist, and I'm really big on building capacity, change, and disrupting cycles. And sometimes folks ain't ready for that. They want to be where they at, and for various reasons, but they're not ready to move. They're at that pre-contemplation stage, and I sit there with you for a little bit, but eventually it's gonna get uncomfortable, and I'm gonna start challenging you to move,
Mm-hmm.
and to consider what would it be like if you were to take some control and to bet on yourself, and change is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the whole idea of this whole conversation, right? Like, why are we having this conversation tonight, and why is this conversation so important? Um, Tell us a little bit about the work that you do, like one of your personal stories and defining moments of how you became Dr. Lanisha doing Connect Her.
Let me just tell you this. My whole mission was born out of my own very season of disconnection and silence. So for many years, I was doing all of the things. I got the degrees. I had leadership roles, being a wife, a mom, a therapist, business owner, and the number one connection coach for millennial women. Along the way, I lost myself. I lost me. I was checking every box that I thought I needed to check to feel as if I was enough, accomplished, or successful. But I was shrinking and second guessing myself and hiding parts of my story because I didn't feel safe being fully seen. Um, and I didn't want that anymore. When I finally started doing the work to remember who I was, to quote the Black Panther, remember who you are. Well, the Black Panther's mother. Remember who you are. When I started doing that work, it was almost like I could breathe again. And I realized through my work as a identity connection coach, but as a therapist as well, I realized that so many millennial women feel lost under the weight of expectations, doubt, burnout, and so to start helping other women, I decided to look at how I reclaim my own identity, and I use my identity reclamation as a blueprint. So I wanted to create a space where women could lay down the mask, rewrite the narratives that keep us small and kept them small, and step into their story unapologetically. And so in doing that, and being the researcher that I am, just researching. That also keeps you small, but we won't go there right now. That's how Her Out Loud was born.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting when we talk about our stories. I think the capacity coach. I don't know if you've seen some of her work, but she was talking about sometimes those stories is what actually are keeping us stuck. Right? We stay so connected to our trauma story, our struggle story, that becomes a part of our identity. Right? And instead of
Yep.
it being something to propel you, you are utilizing that to sort of protect your peace.
Mhm.
And protecting your peace means you don't really grow. You're avoiding conflict. Any place that makes you uncomfortable, you think it's automatically not safe. And everything that makes you uncomfortable doesn't mean it's not safe, right? Every conversation that hurts your feelings doesn't mean that it's not a conversation that needs to be had. And I think we're so caught up in, how we feel sometimes that
Mhm.
that's stopping us from moving forward and that's keeping us stuck. What do you think about that?
I certainly agree. I certainly agree. What the stories and the narratives that we tell ourselves, the ones that we believe, are the ones that shape how we navigate in this world. If we keep telling ourselves, like, oh, I'm not enough, for example, or, this is not for me, or how will I do this? How will I do that? If you're telling yourself, if you're always counting yourself out, then you won't step into the belief that you can be in the spaces or
Gotta
speak
talk
on
about
the
it.
stages.
There
You
go
know,
that better self, that belief, that's the believe, the
yep.
believing in yourself part.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So many of us just we count ourselves out, whether it's because of the beliefs that were given to us during childhood, in relationships, by society. So many of us are believing what we can't have, or from a space of lack rather than from a space of abundance, and trusting in your abilities to do everything you already know that you can do.
Oh, you dropping a whole lot of gems already. So tonight's conversation is about, the strength to start over.
Mhm.
When you think about your journey, right? And you think about, I think I've started over many times, but I've been reframing it as a pivot, right?
Mhm.
Instead of that this is a start over, because you're not starting from scratch. Often you're starting from experience. When you think about, your story, how do you look at change, and how do you think about starting over? Why do you think that's so hard for people?
You know, I'll start with what I like to call my closet breakdown. Uh,
Ooh,
One day, I was in my closet. I mean, bawling. I'm talking about the ugly cry. That's what I was doing, because I had spent so many years pouring into everybody else, my family, my career, friendships, until I found myself running on fumes. And just like everyone else, believe that it's hard for people to start over because of the meaning that they give to the word starting over, the meaning that they give to this word called failure. A lot of people equate starting over with failure, because there's this notion that if you do something, you have to be successful in it, you have to do well at it. Starting over, what's that? What's that? We don't
Y'all,
start over.
y'all heard that, right? Mhm. If you can relate to that, I want y'all to go ahead and y'all need to comment. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all subscribe and follow me and Dr. Lanisha. I see y'all out there on Instagram land. Thank you for tuning in. Everybody on iHeartRadio, YouTube, LinkedIn. Yeah, girl, we all over. Everybody watching. So
I love it. I
listen,
love
but
it.
you are really nailing the head right there, because I think that we do need to reframe the idea of starting over, and more importantly, failure, right? When you think about it, all of us started off not knowing how to do something. And I use this often in my sessions with clients. Like, you have been learning all your life. You have been getting over things, trying new things. You've been in positions where you didn't know what it was. If you just trace back learning how to walk, like most of us, some people, shout out to all y'all ones that just got up, stood up, and just walked. So, because some of y'all do that. You know, I know there's some of y'all brilliant people that didn't have to hold on to nothing, didn't fall down. One day at 9 months, you just stood up and your parents told you you walked. But for the rest of us, right, we wobbled, we got back and crawled a little bit, got up, stood up, wobbled,
Yeah.
got back on our knees, held on to the side of something. We had to go through some things before we walked. And after we walked, we still bumped our knees. We went through some things, and no one said, you know what? You're awful at walking. Just give it up. You didn't fail too many times, bumped your knee too many times. You're holding on to things. Just stop trying to walk. Just get back on down there and just stay crawling all your life. But we forget that everything in life is a stage of development similar to that. And we just think because we've arrived at adulthood, all of a sudden we just know how to walk. But no, you're going to stumble. You're going to fall. You got to hold on to things. You're going to scrape your knee. But you got to keep on getting up and keep on trying to walk.
Yep. You have to. And I love that you use the walking, learning to walk from a baby. A lot of us are afraid to go back and crawl. And many of us need to go back and crawl so that we can get to a place where we're like, oh, okay. Okay, we have to start here before we can walk. Oh, I can't just go from crawling to running. I have to stand up. I have to walk. I have to jog a little bit, run in place
You better talk
before I
about
can
it.
go full speed ahead.
Listen, I've been doing these 5Ks, right? And my first one, oh, it was hard. It was a struggle. Oh, it was hard. And I didn't know what I was doing. So I went around twice as if I was a runner. So the race was over. Y'all, the race was over, and they opening up the roads, and I'm still walking. I'm still walking. My sister, shout out to my sister. I love you, Shamina. She's like, I'm not walking with you no more because I don't want to be the last one. But I was like, we were supposed to run, because if you was running, you would have been finished on time. So, anyways, my next go round, I realized, how it's done. But my goal is to run, and I was able to jog a few times this time, but I still was walk jogging, and I still took about 45 minutes to an hour to get done. But I'm just like, you know what? It's only my second time trying to do a 5K. Am I thinking I'm supposed to just get out there the first time and just nail it? No. But I bet you next year, baby, I'll be running.
Yeah. Nope, Coach La, hang it up. You can't run the 5K. Nope, hang it up. Because if we are taking on the mentality and the thought process of everybody else, I'm going to just tell you to hang it up.
Yeah. Just stop while you're ahead. You slow. But I tell you this, my legs wasn't itching. I didn't have to take my my inhaler. I had my breezy in my ears. I was able to skip to my loo a little bit. My sister left me again. Second time she didn't left me. So I said, you know what? The next time we do this, I'm gonna get faster so I can at least keep up with you. Her stride is just longer than mine, and she just so she always is gonna get further ahead because she has a long stride. So I have to walk faster to keep up with her. She ain't gonna keep leaving me. That's the other thing. You
She
need
won't.
that. Oh no, she'll leave me. We already discussed this. She gonna leave me. I gotta go faster. Um, but you sometimes need to have people on your team that are not going to slow down. They're gonna encourage you. They're gonna encourage you, but they're not gonna slow their pace down. And I think we get upset when people got a good pace or they're ahead of us because it's their time and their season or they're faster. And we want them to stop and wait for us to catch up versus
Nope.
raise your capacity, raise your stamina and go faster so you can catch them. Right? We don't always think like that. It's like, oh, you left me. No, why don't what do you need to do to catch up to me? Why do I got to slow down when you need to train a little bit better and get your stamina up and let that be your motivator. Let that person be your motivator, not your hindrance. But sometimes we let that be people. We start hating on them. We get jealous. We want to put our foot out and and slow them down a little bit so we can catch up to them and stuff like that. Now, y'all might think I'm digressing, but I'm not. Because often the starting over means that people are going to be ahead of you. That may mean you got to go back to the drawing board. That may mean that you need some new skills. That may mean that you're super duper uncomfortable because now you're a beginner. And most of us that like winning and are competitive, we don't like starting back where we starting from scratch. That is uncomfortable. People beating you. Oh no. Especially if you've been winning. If you've been at the top of your game. Oh no. We don't want that. So starting over can feel like, oh no, I'm giving up and I'm letting people win.
Yeah.
And or you might even have to sit and watch people have a season of winning when you're in a season of failing. Talk about that. Now, how's that? What you know about that?
Listen,
social media,
whole lot,
baby. Some people can't even stand being on social media because they're in a season of sitting still and everybody else is out here getting it.
Yes. I'll be honest. I was on TikTok. I started like social media on TikTok during the pandemic. Like I was on there doing all the dances and everything, and dancing is not my ministry now, but I was on there. I was doing it.
Listen, we was all doing stuff during COVID. We was bored. Remember that one they had bored over here? Bored. What was that little
bored
chant?
In the house that I've been a house bored?
Yeah, we had those little chants and stuff we was doing. We was all bored. Listen, I started this show out of COVID. I was on that Clubhouse thing app, and I started learning about technology. All of this came out of COVID.
Yeah, listen.
We was bored. We was in the house bored. Okay,
we were.
And then I was like, I got no reason to be bored with all this electronics. So I started finding stuff to do.
Listen, and it forced us to figure out how to use all these gadgets and devices that we have
and entertain ourselves.
Yeah, I can appreciate COVID. Let me take that back because somebody's gonna quote me. I can appreciate the time I was able to be at home during COVID.
Yes.
But
there was some gems. There was some in everything that seems like a bad thing, there's always some good out of it because it did make some of us slow down and self-reflect and really practice gratitude. I think for me, I really became grateful for the little things. So, but when we was ready to go outside, I was like, thank you. I'm outside. Thank you. I'm outside.
That's interesting because for me, I was okay. I'm an introverted homebody. I don't mind being at home. Now I'm extroverted. Hey, that's my husband. Hey.
Yeah, he's like, I love you. Hey, Professor Connor. He said, I love your TikToks, babe.
Listen, I was getting them. Some of them he got caught up in some of those TikToks too. But I going back to what we started talking about, like there was a moment where I stopped because somebody said something on one of my videos, and I was just like, what? So I let those comments, it was a couple, I let those comments stop me from making the videos and doing the things that I enjoyed. So when we talk about seeing someone else um being successful when you're in a season of failing, it feels like a gut punch. You
Mhm.
feel sad about it. But I would encourage anybody who may be going through that, or if you have not gone through that already, to pick yourself up.
Mm.
Continue to do you, because nobody can be you like you, and your definition of success or failure is very different from somebody else's.
I love that. So we're gonna go to one of my favorite segments,
Mm, mm,
which
mm.
is what does therapy mean to you? Given that you're a therapist just like me,
Mhm,
I think this is a great part to talk about where therapy comes in at. Because I think when we start talking about imposter syndrome and we start
mhm,
talking about comparison theory and we start talking about confirmation bias, all of these things play into what you just talked about in terms of like people's commentary and their feedback and what that can do to your psyche and to your confidence. Kelly Price just recently had a crash out about comments that were made about her feet, what she was wearing, and she had a whole moment about folks being at home, needing to get a job. And while you're sitting up talking about me, I'm still getting a check. I'm still getting booked. I'm still doing all of these things while you're talking about my size and how big my feet are. And she was like, she made some very generalized statements about Black folks and how we the most ignorant, rudest people she know. So again, I think that was all a response to comments that was being made on her videos on social media, and she just she had a whole moment where she needed to let people know. Another one who does that often is Clarissa Shields. She constantly is responding to the comments and
mhm.
clapping back. So how do we navigate that, and how does therapy play a part in that? Because I think once you build some self-awareness, you'll realize some chats you're invited to, you don't need to comment in.
Yeah.
I know chat everything you ain't got to say. Sometimes you can just watch and read.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting that you are, and I get it, the urge to want to clap back and set people straight. However, these people don't know you. They don't know you. They don't know anything about you. And sometimes people are living lives that they are not pleased with, right? They're not pleased with the life that they're living. So some folks actually just get online and start to, like, let me just say something about this. Let me just say something about
Trolling,
this.
as my son
Yes.
says it. It's called troll.
Yes.
I didn't know it was a thing.
The
They
trolls
can
are heavy.
troll you.
The
Oh,
trolls are out there.
let me tell you what else she said. She said you're gonna mess around. This Kelly Price, and I'm paraphrasing y'all, but she said you're gonna mess around, and people are watching you and following you, gonna find out where you are, and they're gonna beat you in real life, trying to be a internet bully. I said, "Woo, Kelly." I said,
Um,
"Don't write no checks you can't cash, sus." But I don't know. Kelly might have a nice one too, you know. But yeah, that's what she said, and I think to a certain extent I have gotten into the comments on different posts, and I too have cringed.
mhm,
People will say anything on social media, they don't care. I've even worried about that with my show, like,
mhm,
because we was talking about wanting to go viral, right? Like,
mhm.
with viral comes more eyes and more trolling and more critique. And
Yeah.
to a certain extent, you want to have the visibility and you want to have your name out there. You want the notoriety, but it does not come without critique.
Listen, everybody is going to have something to say. If you go into wanting to be viral and seeking virality, understand that everyone is going to have something to say about what you do, what you wear, how you speak, how you look. They're going to have something to say. And so maybe not, chasing virality, so to speak, but I think that when you think about being on social media, think about the impact that you want to make. Right? Now, some people the impact that they make, they want to be trolls. Like, it's just what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do. But think about the impact you want to make, and that will keep you going when the trolls are all in your comments trying to just tear you down.
I love that.
Some Yeah, someone needs to hear from you what you have to say, and they need to hear it from you in the way, only in the way that you can say it. So don't worry about virality. Impact will get you in front of the people, in the spaces, on the stages that virality won't be able to.
I bet you better talk about it. She's right. I totally 100% agree. I think the whole idea of viral is like the popularity contest, right? And it's not necessarily about impact, because there's some people who have never gone viral that have impact that you would not believe. And it's ripple, it's domino effect type impact. It's
Mhm.
like that sustainable impact, right? Where their name is
Yep.
being brought up in rooms with people, powerful people, impactful people, even when they haven't stepped a foot in it. I'd rather that kind of influence and viral impact than social media viral impact, because I think you pull out the trolls, you pull out everybody, and they're not always for your best interests. So
Mhm.
yeah.
And they out there ready to pounce.
Oh yes, it's like
Soon as you hit send.
that's what they live for. They live
Mhm.
for it, right?
Yeah.
How do we navigate that though? So as therapists, what are some things that you have said or done with the people you coach, especially since you're helping them find their voice and tell their
Mhm.
story? And with that comes vulnerability, right? With that comes sometimes sharing pieces of yourself
Yeah.
that's going to bring critique. And so you have to, AKA, be healed to be
Mhm.
able to sometimes tell these stories. But sometimes people are not completely healed and they're still sharing. And it makes receiving people's feedback hard.
I think that's so in the work that I do, especially with the women that I coach, and even with my therapy clients, you have to understand who you truly are. You have to know yourself so deep and to your core that when people say something about you or the trolls get into your comments, you're like, oh yeah, this person can't be talking about me because I don't subscribe to that. That's not me. So knowing who you are, having an identity that is yours, will help you navigate when the trolls come. Now, sometimes I'm not gonna listen. You might have a crash out moment or want to crash out, but understand that the energy that you are giving to individuals who live to try to tear you down, that that's not gonna do anything for you. Put that energy somewhere else. And sometimes, simply put, you gotta stay out them comments. Sometimes you gotta stay out the comments. Block them folks. My block list is long. Block who you need to block. Give yourself some breaks from social media. If you are scheduling your post, use a social media manager if you are in a position that you can, whatever it takes, so that you are not pulled into the negativity of the internet world, because going there will have you not feeling good. Like, I'm wondering, I didn't hear about Kelly Price's crash out, but I'm wondering how she felt after she crashed out.
And I think, thank God for my sister. Hey, sis, I see you out there. I have two beautiful sisters. Thank you. I love them dearly. And again, I told you I have my own executive coach / therapist. And so they keep me grounded, right? Keep me
Mhm.
grounded in reminding me, because we all sometimes can forget who we are. We can go through something that makes us question our character because someone maybe that we have deemed important, right? Because we have to give that significance to people, that what they say matter to us, because
Yeah.
that's the only reason why it hits, is because this matters. I would say that I think because Kelly and a lot of other people are entertainers and they're celebrities. This is their fan base, right? And so you're still kind of connecting that to these are your fans and the people that you entertain. But she, again, wanted to set the record straight. And she said, I'm very much aware of what I'm saying. I just need to say this. I have bit my tongue long enough. Some of y'all need to hear this. And I said what I said. I mean what I said. And I do think she thought about it before she did it. So although I'm framing it as a crash out, it may look like a crash out to some people, but what it may actually be is you're finally advocating and speaking up for yourself, which therefore may seem as though you are angry, frustrated, overwhelmed, or out of control. But I don't think that always means that. Sometimes that just means that someone is finally getting the courage to speak up for themselves and to say, I don't like that. It's not okay with me. And this is how I feel. And this is my stance. And this is my position. Take it or leave it. This is my answer. So I think it's hard to decide sometimes. Well, no, I don't think it's hard. I think you know whether or not you're crashing out based on the emotion that you've attributed to it and whether or not you're acting just purely off of your feelings.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes you got to say what you say and you got to say it with your chest. Okay. Sometimes folks need to hear it. I just think that that's the bottom line. Sometimes you need to hear it. And sometimes you got to know, they say you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Sometimes you got to know.
Hey, Opal. Thank you for tuning in, Miss Opal. I appreciate you.
Sometimes you gotta say what you gotta say, and sometimes you just gotta let it be. And in that, because I didn't hear what she said, hearing you say that she knew and she was aware of what she was saying, it does lend itself more to the, hey, I'm gonna say this because I want to, and whatever it's gonna be, it's gonna be. Again, we are not gonna be for everybody. We are not gonna be for everybody. We're not going to be everyone's cup of tea or coffee, whichever your preference is. And so understanding that, keep going toward you. Remember your why. Remember the impact you want to make. Remember what you're using these platforms for, and keep it pushing, because somebody's always going to say something. Somebody might not like the shade of purple that I have on my lips right now, or this, the curly wig I have on. It is what it is. My message still stands that we all have a story, and I'm out here doing the Lord's work.
Oh, hallelujah. Say it louder so the back of the church can say amen.
You know what I'm saying?
So I agree. I think that, again, the idea of starting over, I think, comes with all of that, right? Like all of the things that we're talking about sometimes are hindrances to you starting over. What are people going to say? How are they going to, receive it? They're going to question me on it. They're not going to agree. I got to, maybe make a public, declaration of this. Like if I'm going to close my business, I'm going to get a divorce. People are going to want to know. So it's sometimes just that alone of having to stand up to the light of criticism keeps you stuck. Now, I found this really interesting quote. We talked about it offline, but 76% of women say they've experienced a major life reset moment due to either burnout or emotional betrayal. And this is according to the American Psychological Association in 2024. And that really, really resonated with me because I thought about me starting my business, Resiliency and Optimism Changes Lives. And when I started it, it was due to the company I was working for at the time not allowing me to take a month off. Like I was one of their executive leaders, and I was like, I just need to take a month off. I had been running the company during COVID, and once everybody sort of returned, I was like, I need a whole break to just disconnect from all of this. And they told me that was too long for a leader to be out. And I told them, I said, well, y'all don't have to pay me. I need the time off. You don't have to pay me. I just need to just take the time off and I'll come back. And they said, well, we don't recommend it, but they didn't actually say no. And I told them, I said, I'm taking the month. 2 weeks into it, they were like, where are you? You're supposed to have came back. And then they, started threatening, writing me up and all types of stuff. And There was no policy for it because I was the director of operations. I'm the one who wrote policy. So there wasn't a policy for taking time off, which is why I
Mhm.
just asked them. They were like, well, if you would have went to your medical provider and you had gotten clearance, then we wouldn't be able to do anything about it. I said, so basically y'all telling me I got to go to my doctor and all of this for y'all to give me the month off. I said, fine. So I ended up being out longer than a month because I really wasn't ready to come back in 2 weeks. So I ended up not returning back to the job at all. But I feel like if they had not refused me to take the month off, I probably would have still been at that job.
Mm-mm. Yeah. Wow.
And I remember that moment of sending that resignation notice. I had such a lump and knot in my gut.
Mhm.
Although I had already started my private practice part time, I had not leaped to do it 100% on my own with no cushion, no consistent check. And the idea of doing that scared the heck out of me.
It's so scary. It's so scary. And
I
isn't it
mean,
different when we have to take that leap versus when we're helping and coaching our clients to take that leap? Ooh,
let me
it's
tell you,
scary.
oh my God, it was a knot. I think it was there for hours. Like it was there for, I mean, I was like, oh, so this is what my clients experience when they're having like severe anxiety. And that brings me to this whole idea of like, why me? Because I used
Mhm.
to always wonder why things were happening to me until I became a therapist. Now, every time something happens to me, I go, Lord, what am I supposed to learn about this? You about to send me a client that's going to have this problem, huh? This right here, I'm going to see this later in somebody's situation, ain't I? Right? And I said, ain't. I know that. I said that because some of y'all be, tracking all of my vocabulary all out there. I say ain't. I swear I do all that stuff. It makes me happy. Um,
Mhm.
but I was like, wow, this is what it feels like. I mean,
Yeah.
now we're like going 5 years of me working for myself. But it brings me to what we talked about offline that Miss Tabitha said about when stuff is not working.
Mhm.
Maybe it's time for you to get a job.
Mhm.
And she
'Cause
said,
they ate her up, didn't they?
oh, ho, ho.
They ate her up.
She said, that business that you started, it's still not working out. Maybe it's time for you to go get a job. And, I think there's some truth to that. But I think we also need to reframe the narrative that having a job is a problem. Like, I know that we
Right.
glamorize entrepreneurship, right? Like, I want to work for myself. I want to, I don't want to have a boss, but honey, you still got a boss. All the stuff that they try to get you to do at your job, you got to do for yourself. And now you don't
Mhm.
have anybody making you do it. It's not all, bells and whistles over here working for yourself. You are everything to your business. If anything, I think it's 10 times harder working for yourself than working for somebody else, right? Because at least you may think you can't just go home, but you can though,
You can.
right?
Yep.
There's many of people sitting at their desk for hours on Facebook and lollygagging, ain't doing a lick of work and still getting a paycheck. Honey, when you work for yourself, you don't do no work, you don't get paid. Ain't no
Mhm.
money coming if you don't do the work.
And if you don't work, you don't eat.
Listen, if you don't do the work, you're not getting a check. Versus it might take your job a little bit of time to figure out that you really don't be working.
Right.
It might
Right.
take them a little bit of time, right? And then you might still be able to skate by it and make up something and still get a check. Listen, you want to take a day off, you got sick time, vacation time, all y'all people that got all that PTO. Yeah, when you work for yourself, I create my PTO.
Right.
And sometimes they may be foregoing a check.
Mhm.
It's different over here.
It
So I
is.
think we need to reframe the idea of having a job. And for some people, starting over may be, you know what? I got to go get a side. I got to go get a 9 to 5. I need to go get a W-2.
Mhm.
I don't think there's any shame in that. I think it's more shame in just sitting and doing nothing and being complacent and not and letting your dream completely explode because
Yeah.
you got too much pride to go get some capital, because that's all a job. To me, a job funds your dreams and goals. When I work
Yep.
with clients, I help them understand that job funds your lifestyle.
Mhm. Yeah, it's different over here in this entrepreneur world. We talked offline about, discipline, consistency, and motivation, those things that you need to have when you are an entrepreneur. motivation don't always show up. She's not always there. So you have to have that discipline to make sure that you are running the reports you need to run, filing the taxes the way that you are supposed to file the taxes, or when you're supposed to file the taxes, being the operator, the social media manager, the marketer, the all you are all of the things when you are an entrepreneur, unless you have a team. But even then, you have to learn how to hire on those individuals as well. I don't think it's anything wrong with going to get a job because, like you said, which I'm in the process of looking for one, um, in this moment, because I need that capital in order to continue to further my dream so that I can have, take a month off or 2 or 3, take the summers off. I've always dreamed of taking the whole summer off. Have not been able to do that yet, but I do want to do that. So I am going to go get a job and also maintain my business. But it's very important to think about what it's going to take as an entrepreneur. And even if you have to go back to a job, like you mentioned earlier, it's not starting over from zero. It's pivoting, it's redirecting, seeing how you can make the both of the two work, create the harmony for both of them. A lot of entrepreneurs started off with an idea that just happened to blow up during the pandemic. But there were those other skills and those other things that go into running a successful scaling business. And I think it's okay to get a job. A lot of folks was
Listen,
mad, but
you're gonna have some money. So
yeah.
people who intentionally restart after a life setback report 37% higher levels of life satisfaction after 1 year.
Mhm.
So everything is not lost. So
Yeah.
that brings me to my next segment. Yes. Our bet on self moment. So we're going to introduce this. I can't believe I told you this hour just be going by so fast. So tonight, y'all, we will be able to stay on a little bit longer after 11 o'clock. But bet on self moments. Talk to me about, we're going to talk about your bet on self moments for all the new listeners, because it's the first time you ever listened to Conversations with Coach La. I created a platform or a framework called Bet on Self, right? And so it's to believe, engage, and to transform your thinking. It's those moments in your life where you have to make a decision to choose healing, growth, or change, even when it's uncomfortable. And you notice all we've been talking about is getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And with everything we're talking about, the power of the pivot, the strength and courage to start over, it's all connected to these Bet on Self moments. So, Dr. Lanisha, tell us about a bet on self moment. It could be something from the past, present, or something that you're about to do, which might be getting this job.
Yeah, you know what? The most recent bet on self moment is actually an amazing opportunity. Now, I came up with so many reasons why I shouldn't, or why it wasn't the best time to do this thing. But I will be speaking on a panel at the 54th annual conference, with the Congressional Black Caucus at the end of this month in Washington, D.C. Something I am super excited about. And I realized that, look, just as I talk to my clients and I speak about people needing to hear from me, how can I be one that is helping women across the globe be heard out loud? And I was almost about to suppress my voice. So that was a bet on self moment where I had to on the people say yes to me, say yes to the opportunity to go and learn, go thrive, and just grow, just be in the mix. So
I know
yeah.
that's right. So that gives me a bet on self moment question for everybody who is tuned in and listening. Write this down. If I believed my voice was powerful, how would I show up differently tomorrow? I think that's such a great question, given you talking about speaking on a platform that you were like, oh no, I'm not sure if I was ready. I think, you really have to start to step into those uncomfortable moments and realize that you do have a story to tell and that your voice does matter. I think
Yeah.
that's super, super, super important. So
Yeah.
if I believe my voice was powerful, how would I show up differently tomorrow? I want y'all to think about that. And, really, how are you allowing people's comments, social media, different things to really stifle you and to silence you so that, and you may want to show, maybe you do want to get on there and do a TikTok dance, but you're afraid everybody's going to say something. So you don't do it. But do what really, makes you feel good and brings you joy, you know, really got to do that all the time. So I can't believe it. Do you see the time? It's just a go.
I see it.
I'm like, it be moving, right? It's be moving.
Mm-hmm.
So next up is Coach's Corner, y'all. As y'all know, you're tuned into Conversations with Coach La La La. I got Dr. Lanisha on here with me, and we're at Coach's Corner, which is where we start to really just kind of wrap things up. What are the takeaways and what are the things we want to really send you home with as you go into your week, right? One reason this show is on a Sunday night at 10 p.m. for all you insomniacs, all the people who are still up strolling and swiping, you come across my show. What's some things we want to really leave them with in terms of having the strength and the courage to start over? What are some of your takeaways from tonight's show?
Some of my takeaways and things that I want the listeners to leave this episode with is it is okay to start over. It is okay to believe in yourself. Burnout, betrayal, the breakdowns that you have experienced in your life, they don't have to be a failure. And you don't have to be perfect for you to show up as your most authentic self. In those moments where you feel like you are failing at something, or when you're sitting in your closet and having a crying breakdown moment like I did in my closet, remember all of the things that you've done well. Remember all of the times that you have overcome certain things. Remember all of the things that you have overcome. Listen, nobody can be you like you. So be you. And whatever comes of in this thing, as you navigate this thing called life, remember that it gets greater, it gets better, but sometimes you're going to have to go through some messy, some exhausting, some just uncomfortable moments, but they won't break you.
Mm, let the church say amen, right?
Amen.
Starting over is not a weakness, y'all. It is wisdom. I told you guys this last week. You're proving to yourself that setbacks do not disqualify you. They redefine who you are. And that's the bet on self way. You want to believe in your worth. You want to engage your power and trust the process. Resetting is wisdom. And starting over is nothing but just a reset. It's the power of the pivot. And sometimes that makes you more powerful. That allows you to think, that allows you to be strategic. And you need to be able to do that. So you don't look at it as a bad thing. Look at it as a moment to really be able to take your story. Remember, we talked last week about your survival story. And what about that helped inspire the next chapter of your purpose? It's time for you to bet on self. Use all of your gifts, all of your struggles, all of your trials, all of your tribulations to really be able to push forward, because there's people that are selling that in books and motivational talks and workshops. They're using those stories and they are getting paid. They're doing all types of stuff with it. So don't let it hinder you. Let it propel you. So what's one truth that you're ready to reclaim as you start again? What is one truth that you're ready to reclaim as you start again? And I want you guys to be able to really move into your week feeling encouraged, feeling empowered. Starting over does not mean starting from scratch. Every breakdown is a blueprint for rebuilding the better, and your voice is the foundation of your next chapter. Dr. Lanisha, what you got to say? We about to sign out. We got like 2 minutes.
Listen, start small. You speak up in the meetings, share your story with a friend, pitch the podcast, do the things that you desire to do. Okay, you don't have to stay stuck. Starting over is not the end. Starting over does not mean that it's the end.
You better say that. Better say that. Thank you all for tuning in on all of the different platforms. We appreciate you. If this conversation has resonated with you and you're looking for a therapist, I am taking new clients. Please follow us on social media. I'm at therapist_coach LA. And Dr. Lanisha, where can they find you?
Yes, yes, yes. You can find me on all platforms: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I am at Dr. Lanisha. That's DRLANECHA. I am currently accepting new clients, and I just look forward to connecting with you and engaging with you.
I know that's right. So next week, y'all, next week we're doing Faith and Freedom, the Breaking Cycles episode. Heal People Don't Act Like That. And we got 2-time Grammy nominated spoken word artist Queen Sheba that's going to be joining me on the virtual couch. She got a new album that's out and she is up for Grammy consideration once again. It's going to be a powerful show that you do not want to miss. Oh, no, it's not there. Yeah, I thought that was about. You see me pause? I'm like, wait a minute. It's almost the top of the hour. It's almost the top of the hour, y'all. So we got a few more minutes with you before we have to get off this virtual couch. I want to give some shout outs because I've seen a lot of people in the live. Opal, Shamina. I hope I'm saying this. Hasna. I don't know.
Hasina.
Hasina. Thank you, Hasina. She said that this has been a great show. And of course, your husband is on here. We also have Lux Lashes. Thank you, Lux Lashes, for tuning in. We appreciate you. And we also have Kevin that's tuned in as well. You guys know Conversations with Coach La comes on every Sunday, 10 p.m. live. And every Thursday, the podcast episode drops on all major platforms. So please share the live. Tell somebody about the show. Come back next week. You know, all that good stuff so we can continue to encourage the masses to bet on self. Anything else you want to say? Anything else? I think we didn't set it all, girl.
I think we said it all.
And drop the mic and all of that good stuff. We hope that you guys have a great week. Enjoy this week that's coming up. We are officially in September. Cannot believe that. I can't believe it. That means that all of these holidays is coming up. But yeah, it's been really a wonderful show, a wonderful time. I think that gave me more music in my bed. I think that's why we still going. He told me my thing was gonna come. See, I was trying to get better to make sure at 10 o'clock the legal ID comes on, and I'm going good.
Hey,
here it comes.
The Urban Heat. Expect the unexpected. Unorthodox radio from Boston and beyond. Heat981fm.com and iHeartStation.
All right, y'all. Good night. We'll see you next week for another episode of Conversations with Coach La. Appreciate y'all. Make sure you go follow us again, _therapist Coach LA. And
I am Dr. Lanisha at Dr. Lanisha.
We'll see y'all next week. Have a great week. Good night. Keep betting on self, y'all.